What is up, everyone? Welcome to Just Offside, the weekly MLS show where we take your comments and talk about them. My name's Allan.
My name's Louie.
And let's jump right into it. First comment comes from Herbert G, who says, "Dope channel, earned subscribers, go Sounders." So this goes out to Herbert G and all of the new subscribers that we've gotten over the last few weeks. Thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys hitting that subscribe button. It really shows us that what we're doing is interesting and that you guys really enjoy it. So please continue subscribing if you're new and leaving that big thumbs up for us. It really means a lot.
Thank you so much. Next comment comes from Ben Righam. I think it'll be an interesting end of the season for Sounders. We didn't have Chad Marshall, and now we have Harry Shipp and Brad Smith out for 2 to 3 weeks. I'm looking forward for this final stretch. Yeah, I mean, Seattle's high-flying offense it took a little bit of a dip last week, but it seems like they were perfectly fine this week, and they're poised to keep pushing on till the rest of the season. I mean, they just look really good overall.
Next comment comes from The GOAT, who says, "Quintero is definitely top 5 in the MLS to me. Him to Minnesota is what LeBron was to the Cavs. Without them, they're a whole different team. He brings a spark. Christian Ramirez was also a spark for Minnesota before he went to LAFC."
Broken heart.
Yeah, I mean, again, with something that we talked about last episode, Quintero, man, he's just a baller. Like, really, just one of those players who the ball almost really sticks to his foot. He really makes Minnesota a different team. So I agree to that. Maybe not to the extent of LeBron to the Cavs, because LeBron to the Cavs is like huge. But I definitely understand where the GOAT was going with there, and it's just a guy that changes the team dynamic no matter what.
For sure. I mean, if Minnesota manages to win an MLS Cup in the next couple years with Darwin Quintero, I'll take all of our comments back here and say you're 100% right, the GOAT, because that seems to be the only thing missing, because he's a phenomenal player and he really livens up that team. So Brad Jr. 10 said, "That San Jose game was insane and I enjoyed that game thoroughly." So he was talking about the game that we actually didn't really cover much last weekend, but I'm going to pretend like this comment applies to this weekend's game that had San Jose, because it was also an insane game. But thanks, Brad Jr.
And this final comment comes from Sebastian Gomez, who says, "Atlanta is a great team, and I feel like the East Side is getting better each year. Both New York teams are improving each year. I really hope the league looks at them and sees where the bar is at." Yeah, so sort of agree with it. Obviously, New York City FC has been in a slump, and we saw that again this week with the result they had. But yeah, the East is definitely getting stronger. The teams there, I mean, they really seem like title contenders for sure. I personally think that East and West is pretty balanced in terms of quality and kind of the top level teams. But for sure, I personally think both East and West are pretty balanced.
Yeah, I think what he was kind of alluding to too was just like what these teams are doing off and on the field, I guess, because with Atlanta, you can see their support everywhere. You can see how well they're playing. Both the New York teams are playing really, really well throughout the course of the year. And it just goes to show where the quality of the MLS is, right? I mean, when you got players like David Villa, Bradley Wright Phillips, Jose Martinez, and Miguel Almiron, these are guys that are carrying the league in terms of personality, style of play, however you want to look at it. So yeah, to an extent, for sure, they are setting the bar pretty high, but you can't really forget the West, right? You have guys over in the West who are really putting on a phenomenal season, and they're doing pretty well too.
Yeah.
So that's it for the comments, guys. If you want to get featured in our next week's episode, make sure you're leaving those comments in this video in the comments below. Speaking of that insane San Jose game, this week, San Jose played the Houston Dynamo, and San Jose started the game off really, really well. They were up 2-0 before Houston kind of came back and made a charge at this.
So the narrative of this game before Dynamo made their resurgence was kind of going to be Wondolowski getting closer to Landon Donovan's all-time goal-scoring record for the MLS.
And it's really good to see some like shining light for the San Jose Quakes this year, because despite they've been having a pretty terrible season, they at least have the shining light of Chris Wondolowski potentially breaking this record. And our boy Tommy Thompson won a penalty for Chris Wondolowski to bury and bring up his notch, but shout out to you, Tommy.
Yeah, and it was funny because Wondolowski was actually on the end of another goal that actually got given to one of Houston Dynamo's defenders instead of it being given to him. So he actually potentially could have gotten even closer, but at the end of the day, I mean, he got one goal, gets him one goal closer, but would have been nice to kind of see him get 2 in that game.
For sure. So let us know, guys. Do you think Chris Wondolowski is going to beat Landon Donovan's record this year? Is that something that's going to happen? Let us know.
But even with the big party that was happening for Chris Wondolowski, Houston Dynamo was not going to have it. They came back in that second half and put up a charge, scored 3 goals to get one over San Jose.
Yeah, and this is coming off of a midweek victory over the Philadelphia Union for the U.S. Open Cup. So we've been talking a lot of crap about the Houston Dynamo. We've been making fun of their team, the fact that they don't have a sponsor, that we're talking about their name, all this stuff. But they actually did win silverware this year, which is more than a majority of the other MLS teams will be able to say. And they won the U.S. Open Cup last week. And to win that and not suffer a hangover and actually come from behind and win 3-2, props to Houston for this weekend, because that takes some balls.
Yeah, for sure. Houston Dynamo fans or fans of the MLS, let us know, was this year a success for you, even with the kind of poor run of form that you've had in the MLS this year? Was winning the Open Cup worth it, and did this make this year a success for you guys? Let us know in the comments below. Moving on now, Louie, let's talk about Seattle versus Colorado, a game that Seattle won 4-0, their first win now out of 3 games after going on that long streak, then losing 2 games, getting a pretty convincing win over Colorado.
I don't know if we should credit Seattle so much for just firing on all cylinders, or if we should just not credit Colorado because they just were bad. For both of Raul Ruidiaz's goals, people just didn't pick him up in the box. The defenders were all caught ball watching, and he was able to bury his 6th and 7th goal of the season. So not taking anything away from him, because he made the perfect movements as a center forward. He was getting himself in the right spots. It just felt like the defenders for Colorado were just not paying attention. They were just falling asleep. Yeah, I mean, I will credit Seattle a little bit. That Lodero-Ruidiaz connection was working all game for them. They were kind of having their way. That, I mean, their quality was showing throughout the entire match. But yeah, you're right. I mean, Colorado now, I think it's 17 goals in the last 5 games that Tim Howard's led up. Obviously not all his fault, but that just goes to show you that they are very leaky in the back. Yeah, and like, I don't want to blame Tim Howard for it, but he did get his hand on the penalty. He did get his hand on the first goal. I don't know. I don't want to put pressure on him, because we know how good he is, and it's definitely down to that defense. But at the same time, like, it's not a good look when you get your hands on a ball that you could probably stopped. But man, Nico Lodero was just having himself a game. He was all over the pitch. He was playing his lights out. But one thing I will say, that penalty that they called on him from apparently Kellen Acosta tripped him. Yeah. That was not a penalty to me. Really? I think that Nico Lodero just tripped over his own feet. The ref was right there and still called the penalty. I mean, I don't think Kellen Acosta clipped him. What do you think? I don't know. I thought there was definitely like contact. Definitely a softer PK, but in the sport we've definitely seen that given. So I didn't necessarily have any quarrels with it. Yeah. But let us know, guys, was that a penalty on Nico Lodero? Should it have stood? But yeah, in terms of Tim Howard, man, a legend in American soccer, obviously. It's kind of sad to see him going down this path. I wonder if this will be the end for him. If it is, it's kind of a shame, because I think he deserves a little bit more than kind of the treatment he's been getting in terms of defensive help and just all the goals he's been letting up. Yeah, and like we said a couple weeks ago, it does stink that he came back to the MLS to try and like capture some glory towards the end of his career and like really put a stamp on the MLS, but it doesn't seem like he's had the impact that he wanted to have, right? And it stinks, because the critics are going to come after him because he's the big name player in Colorado, despite the fact that he's the guy standing in goal. He's not the one defending people from shooting at him. So it's like, U.S. soccer fans, let us know, do you think that this is the end for Tim Howard? Should he retire, or do you think he should try to give it another year and see if he can and restore some pride into his name? Let us know in the comments below. All right, but moving on to what was supposed to be the game of the weekend. Atlanta United losing 2-0 to the New York Red Bull. Now, this was a pretty disappointing game, if you ask me. This was a game that was kind of hyped up. It was supposed to be this like centerpiece game, because these are the 2 best teams in the East, and they were supposed to be fighting it out for the Supporters' Shield. But it honestly just felt like the Red Bull dominated the whole game. Atlanta's offense just didn't get off the ground. To be honest with you, I don't even remember a good passage of play from them. I can't even recall a shot on goal. Really, I mean, maybe, I'm sure there was, but I don't even remember seeing something that I was like, oh man, Atlanta was going to get that one there. It just felt like the Red Bull were just more energetic. They wanted it more. And this is without Bradley Wright Phillips. Yeah, so, I mean, for sure, I think that Atlanta didn't have that highlight moment. They definitely had shots on goal, but I myself can't really recall a moment in time when they really were putting that much pressure on. I think this game was really important for the Red Bull, because it kind of put a statement out that they're a really composed team. They know how to set up. They know how to come into these big games, play against the big dogs, and kind of close games out, right? I mean, Atlanta, we all know, is a high firepower team. They kind of have their way with most MLS teams, but New York Red Bull set up properly. They really kind of quieted that Atlanta front line, which is not something you really see that often. Yeah, and it almost seems like the Red Bull have the recipe to beat Atlanta. And so it's going to be really interesting to see going into the playoffs how that, if they play each other in the playoffs, how that'll work out. Because honestly, this game, like, they genuinely just shut down Atlanta. And I don't know if Atlanta just wasn't feeling it. Maybe they don't care so much anymore because they've already clinched playoffs and all of this. But at the same time, it'll be really interesting to see come playoff time, if they meet each other, what's going to happen. So people out there, let us know, do you think the Red Bull have Atlanta's number? Is it going to be a repeat in the playoffs? Or do you think that this is just one game and it doesn't necessarily have any bearing on playoff picture?
All right, really, let's quickly cover this game. Toronto FC versus New England Revolution, a game that New England opened up really quickly. They scored a goal after some sloppy Toronto FC play, but Toronto came back. Giovinco's class, his first goal was a work of art, really well taken shot. Toronto kind of took control of the game after the opening goal, and that was that.
Yeah, I mean, there's not much I can say about this game. Giovinco, absolutely class. It seems like Toronto, they just turn it on when they feel like it. It doesn't seem like they're a team that's always on. But the Revs, I'm like so done talking about them. My only question is, Rev supporters, can we just call this season done? Are we holding on to this fantasy that we're still going to make the playoffs? Can we be done with this part already? Can we genuinely just be okay with this season being a bust and we're done? Because I'm sick of trying to have faith in this team. So
let us know how you really feel in the comment section below. We know Louie is hurt. It hurts me to see him like this. But guys, let us know how you feel in the comment section below.
But moving on to the actual game of this weekend, you had DC United putting 5 past Montreal Impact. This was a game that was worth 6 points. These are the 2 closest teams for that last playoff spot in the East. They're playing each other, and my God, what a game.
Yeah, so many talking points here. Obviously, DC United clicking, but they really didn't start clicking for me until after the 60th minute. Before that, it was a 1-0 game. DC United was playing well, but they weren't showing signs of kind of going on this rampage. Wayne Rooney then gets a kind of wonder goal. He really put a move on one of the Impact defenders, scores kind of at a really tough angle, and then from there it was DC United kind of firing.
Yeah, and for the first part of that game, it was superly hotly contested, both sides playing pretty well, but like you said, after that first Wayne Rooney goal, it just kind of went from there, and then everybody just seemed like they wanted to get involved. Paul Arriola's chip was exquisite. Rooney's the last goal of the game with Rooney, just like the ball happened to fall to him, but you know, he's not going to miss that, so buries that one. It was just overall a phenomenal showing from DC, and this is from a team that has really been on the up. And I know we talk about this almost every episode, it seems, but there's just so many fun things to watch when you watch this DC United team. Lucho Acosta is a warrior, man. He does not go down. For that goal that he scored, he orchestrated that whole move. He wasn't going to give up. He got the ball back, and then he received it in front of goal and just like scored, because he was that tenacious and worked that hard. So when you combine that with Wayne Rooney's experience and skill and just Paul Arriola's youthfulness, I guess, they just those forwards at DC, they're just looking so good.
Yeah, and the 3 guys you mentioned, Acosta, Rooney, and Arriola, involved in all of the goals that are happening, like either an assist or scoring, obviously. But those 3, that front line is scary. It's really a high power, high energy front line.
Yeah, I mean, where do you think their forwards kind of rank in the MLS? You know, in my mind, at the top you have Atlanta, followed by Seattle recently, but I think right below that you have to put DC, because they just look that good.
Yeah, as kind of a cohesive unit of front line, they are there. They're up there with the MLS and kind of the best forwards in the league. And we've seen that, right, since Wayne Rooney has come in. We've seen that they've gelled almost immediately, and it's been evident because they're just connecting on so many different plays, so many different goals. And yeah, I think for sure they're one of the strongest attacking lines in the MLS.
Guys, let us know, where would you rank DC's offense in the MLS?
But yeah, for Montreal, I mean, a game they needed to win. Montreal, I mean, they have a pretty heavy schedule for the remainder of the season. They play a big game versus the Columbus Crew coming up, so they're still very iffy, even with that 2-point lead over DC United. They need to be playing their hearts out for the remainder of the season. Especially
because Montreal still has 2 games in hand over DC, so DC technically still have 2 extra tries to make up for those 2 points. So I don't know, Montreal fans, are you getting worried at this point in the season? I know you guys have been pretty confident about where you are in the standings, but how worried are you that DC is going to catch up? Because, you know, clearly they just beat you guys pretty handedly, but on top of it, they still have 2 games in hand. So, Montreal fans, how worried are you?
All right, moving on, Louie. Minnesota FC versus New York City FC, a game that Minnesota ended up winning 2-1. They got a red card, kind of gave New York City a chance. New York City came back, scored 1. But overall, bad game for New York City. They continue this poor run of form. Not really sure what's happening to them.
Yeah, it seems like the bottom's just falling out from this team, and I don't know how to fix it. You New York City fans out there, what needs to change? Because if it were me and I was a New York City supporter, I would be very frustrated at this team right now, and I would be a little worried, honestly, going into playoffs because, yeah, you're third in the East and you've looked good for a majority of the season, but this patch of form right now is horrendous, horrendous. And for a team that should be playing and vying for an MLS Cup, it doesn't fill me with confidence.
Yeah, out of kind of the top 6 big teams in the MLS, they're probably one of the ones that worry me the most if I were their supporter. They're really just not clicking, not gelling. You're not sure what really happened or what needs to happen to fix that.
Yeah, so I don't know. Any ideas, friends? Let us know in the comments below because I don't get it.
Yeah.
Moving on to the next game, Chicago Fire beat LAFC 3-1. Another shocking result for the Fire, who have actually strung together quite a few wins over the past couple weeks, and maybe it's definitely way too late for them in the season to start wanting to play well, but yeah, they beat LAFC pretty well, and I'm not sure where to go from there.
Yeah, not really much of a talking point for Chicago Fire. I mean, their season is over, unfortunately, but for LAFC, getting towards the end of the season now, playoffs coming. Again, one of those top teams that you need to be firing, especially versus a Chicago team that they should be beating, in all honesty. So for LAFC, it's not great. Hopefully they can kind of pick it up next week. But yeah, I mean, overall, some pretty nice goals. I will say Chicago's first goal, a freaking volley that was so nice. And then LAFC, Rossi got a beautiful goal. He really put his foot through it. But other than that, not really that many talking points here.
Yeah, Chicago Fire fans, is there enough to excite you for next season from this current team? Have these wins over the past couple weeks really kind of shown you that there is a light at the end of the tunnel? Let us know how you feel in the comments below.
And finally, Louie, LA Galaxy versus Vancouver, a game LA Galaxy won 3-0. Zlatan Ibrahimovic with goals number 19 and 20 on the season. Could have had a hat trick, but he was actually fairly nice in this game and gave away the last PK that gave Galaxy the 3-0 lead.
Yeah.
But he was all over the pitch for LA Galaxy.
Yeah, I mean, to talk about the penalty for a second, I thought it was interesting that so Roman Alessandrini was the one who got fouled for the first PK, Ibra takes it, and then the reverse happens at the end, Ibra gets fouled and he allows Alessandrini to take it. My question to you is, I thought Ibra was going to take it knowing him and knowing his personality, and I thought he maybe should have taken it. But what do you think? Do you think it was nice of him to do it? Or do you think he should have taken that PK and blasted and got that hat trick for himself?
I think it was actually really smart for Zlatan because he knows he's the star of the team. And he's come out and said before that he needs the rest of the guys to step up. So this was an important step for him, especially as they're fighting for that playoff spot. If they want to really make a push, they need the whole team behind him. As a leader, that was the most correct decision Zlatan could have had because it shows them, hey, this isn't just about me. I really want the team to succeed. So I thought it was a really nice gesture. Although, yes, I was a little bit surprised that I thought his ego would kind of take over. But as a captain, as the leader of that team, I thought it was a phenomenal decision.
Right. No, I agree with all those points. Now, news has come out that Ibra isn't necessarily sure about next year's future or what will hold for him in the coming years. If he's kind of his idea is to leave the Galaxy, and if that was his mentality, maybe he should have just taken the goal and taken the hat trick. It would have got him to 21 goals in the season. But then again, I guess he was trying to be a good leader and all of that. But
yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, if he is going to fulfill that promise of bringing an MLS Cup, who knows if he was being genuine about that, but if he is going to fulfill that promise, he does need his team to start firing, and I'm sure he'd be much happier with winning the MLS Cup versus the Golden Boot. So I think he was more worried in that and hopefully making a push for the Galaxy, but yeah, I mean, there's a lot here.
Yeah.
It's just... He's a man. He's an enigma.
He is an enigma. But at the end of the day, scores 19th and 20th goals of the season. Honestly, if you had told me a little bit earlier this year that he was going to score 20 goals in a season, I probably would have thought you were joking. Because, dude, the guy truly and genuinely is an enigma. He is 37 years old, but he is producing like he's, I don't know, 28. Like, he's just not stopping. And it shouldn't surprise me.
Yeah.
Because he's done this at every single team he's played at. But at the same time, like, he's scoring really good goals.
Yeah. And I mean, in this game especially, he had his hand, or should I say foot, in almost every important play. He could have scored a free kick. He had a header that went just out of bounds. He was all over the place, and he has these games where he is kind of just like unstoppable, and then he has other games where he's more subdued. But for a guy of his age, and it just goes to show the kind of greatness that is Zlatan Ibrahimovic.
Yeah. LA Galaxy fans, enjoy him while he's here, because he may not be here for very long. So there you have it, guys. Another amazing week of MLS action in the books. Make sure you're leaving your comments on this video to be featured next week in the show. And let us know what you think. Hit that subscribe button. Go over, hit the like button. We really appreciate it. It shows that what we're doing is working and you guys are enjoying it, and it means the absolute world to us. Aside from this show, we also have a lot of amazing content on our YouTube channel. So if you like this show, please check out the other content we have down there, or click on our page and take a look at it over here.
That wraps it up, guys. We'll catch you guys next week.